We're going to be learning about one-point linear perspective. And linear perspective, linear means it uses lines, and perspective, it helps draw what we actually see in real life. So, you know that in real life, when we look at things that are closer to us, they look bigger. And then as things get farther away, they look smaller. They're not necessarily smaller, they're just farther away. So from your perspective, when you're looking out into the distance, as things get farther away, they look smaller. So that was one of the things the Renaissance artist noticed, was that, boy, things get smaller, things overlap, things get farther away. Let's come up with a system for how much smaller and where things are. And the system they developed is called linear perspective. And there are some variations on it. This is called one point because there is a single point there called the vanishing point. And you'll notice how anything that's moving into the distance vanishes to that point. There's also two-point linear perspective, which has two vanishing points. And then there's three-point or multiple point. So anything beyond 2 points is 3 points, some variation of 3 points. So I'm going to teach you the basics on doing one-point linear perspective. We're going to need a piece of paper. We're going to need a pencil. You're going to need some sort of a straight edge or ruler. And it wouldn't hurt to have your pencil sharpener handy. And the other thing that's probably handy is an eraser. So, here we go. Perspective. So, on your paper, we're going to start out by establishing the horizon line. So, where it looks like the earth meets the sky. So, the farthest away point that when you're standing, you can see, it's also called eye level. So, to do this, think about going more than halfway up your page so that you have plenty of ground to draw on. And then you're just going to draw a line. Now, I'm not even going to use my straight edge for this because this is the horizon line, and it honestly doesn't always look straight and smooth. Sometimes there are hills or mountains in the distance that we might see. So, yeah, so different things might be happening back there. So notice how my line, my horizon line, is more than halfway up the page. So this will be my ground, this will be my sky. So go ahead and draw a horizon line of some sort about a little more than halfway up the page. Okay, then we're going to draw our vanishing point. So the easiest way to do one-point perspective is to put the vanishing point near the middle. And I just drew a dot. Now the vanishing point, what that means is that anything that has parallel sides, like a road, that's moving away into the distance, looks like it's getting narrower and narrower until it hits the horizon line or eye level. And then it looks like the sides meet. They don't, but that's the illusion because as things get farther away, they look smaller. So this is called the vanishing point. So you should have a vanishing point. Now we'll start out by drawing a road that goes off into the distance and vanishes. So what you do is you decide how wide your road is going to be. So I'm going to make my road about that wide. And then you take the point in the front, that's going to be the widest part of your road because it's the closest to you, the viewer. And we're going to try to make this flat piece of paper look like you're looking out a window. So when I look out a window, things near the bottom of the window are closest to me, and they look the biggest. So this is going to be the widest part of your road. You're going to line your straight edge up with that, and then line it up with your vanishing point. And then we're going to draw a line. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Line it up with your widest edge of your road and then your vanishing point, and draw a line. Looks like a triangle. And some people, it's hard for them to see the illusion. They go, okay, you just drew a triangle on a squiggly line, big deal. Well, let's make it look more like a road. It can be a divided highway. It can have center. It can have separate, you know, the dashed marks. Now, as these dash marks get farther away, they get smaller. Now, notice how I lined it up with my vanishing point. So here, I'm going to do these dash marked again. So it looks a little more like a road. We could even put a little bit of a sidewalk on either side. And again, we're going to decide how wide the sidewalk's going to be. So this is the closest thing to us. It is the widest. It's going to look the biggest. Line that up with our vanishing point. Draw a line. Line this up with the vanishing point. Draw a line. Now, to make it look more like a sidewalk, I can make the divisions so you can try out a sidewalk and a road if you'd like. And now if I were going to draw cars on my road, that gets more complicated. I have to keep in mind, like sometimes I'll think about, well, I'm looking down. So notice how if I were going to draw a car or a truck, let's make this a truck, I'm mostly looking at the top of it. Might see a little bit of the back, but mostly we're looking down from above. And I'll show you a little bit more about that later. There's a truck driving down my road. Oh, I think he's on the wrong side of the road. Uh-oh. Get rid of him. Well, maybe we're in England. So I'd mostly draw the top of the truck. I'm going to have to be on this side of the road. There's the front. Okay, so now you got a road. Now, any other roads you are going to draw in one-point linear perspective, either, we'll do another one, they either come in from the front. Now, you could even draw a road that came in from the side here. So the widest part of the road is going to be closest to the edge of the paper. And then I line up with my vanishing point. And I could do the same thing from this side. The side on the widest part of my road, which is going to be near the edge of the paper. Line it up with my vanishing point. Now there's one other way to draw roads. So if they don't go to the vanishing point, then they go straight across. So the way I tell how wide to make the road, let's say I'm going to put a road here, is I know this road is this wide. So I'm going to make another road that goes straight across. That's that same width approximately. Now here's where I could use my eraser. There wouldn't be a sidewalk in the middle of the road. And of course I could go back in later and make these roads divided and put stop signs in and do all sorts of, put more cars on them, perhaps on the correct side of the road. So the sidewalk would end here. But those are the two ways to draw roads. And yes, once you get more used to one-point perspective, there are ways to draw roads that curve and things like that. But for learning it, to have roads that either go straight to the vanishing point in the horizon line or straight across is the easiest way to do it. Let's say I want to put another road straight across back here. I'm going to make it only that wide. I'm going to make it really narrow because I can see from my perspective ones that they are not very wide. So if I was going to have another road back here, it wouldn't be a huge wide road because it's farther away. It's pretty skinny, but... And again, I don't need these. So notice how I chose to make this road smaller looking because it's farther away. So those are the two ways to easily draw roads in one-point perspective. So if you want to go ahead and draw, draw 2 or 3 roads that vanish, and then try drawing a couple roads that go across. So go ahead and do that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is to draw a cube in one-point perspective. So an implied form, a cube. And it's going to be a building. And it's a lot of people choose when they're first learning one-point perspective to draw buildings because buildings tend to be squares or rectangles and it's easier to draw them. So we're going to start out by just drawing a regular rectangle. Nothing fancy. We're not going to worry about the vanishing point. I'm going to draw it right there. Now, here's the thing. My rectangle, you can see my edge of my road through it. Well, it's not a see-through building, so I'm going to get rid of that. So this is the front wall of my building. So to get the sides, to make it look 3D, you always draw the side of the building that's closest to the vanishing point. So that would be this side. So to do that, I'm going to line this corner up with the vanishing point. So go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to draw a line, but I'm not going to make it go all the way back to there because that building doesn't go that far back. That would make a really long building. I'm just going to draw. So I drew a short line, but it was lined up with the vanishing point. Then I'm going to, from here, the bottom of my rectangle, still on the same inner side by the vanishing point, I'm going to line this up with the vanishing point. Again, I'm just going to draw a short line. But these lines go to that vanishing point. Sometimes when people are just learning it, they draw the whole line. To me, that's a lot of erasing. All right, now the roof also would show, because remember, we're looking down. Here's my truck. We're kind of looking down on top of things, kind of like we're a bird up on a branch or something. So from this point to the vanishing point. And again, a short line. Now I got to finish off my building, and what I'm going to do to finish this side is a straight up and down vertical line. Make sure it goes straight. Look at the sides of your page. That connects those. Now sometimes one line will be too long, you just erase it. And then I need a straight across line. Here I actually have one because it's the back of my street. And then I erase anything that showed through. So that's how you would draw. So now I've drawn a cube in one-point linear perspective. Now let's try drawing another one on the same side of the road. So we're going to do the same thing again, but we're going to make it farther back. So I'm going to put it on the other side of my street here. So I am going to draw, again, I start out with a regular rectangle. I think I'm going to move it over so I have a little more room. Sorry. Regular rectangle or square. And then, so the sides are parallel to the sides of the paper. They don't slant or look like your building fell over. And then from this point, we line up to the vanishing point, draw a line. From this point, we line up to the vanishing point, draw a line. This point, we line up to the vanishing point, draw a line. And then to end it, straight up and down line here, so there's going to be one here, straight across line here, one there, and we have another perspective cube. So now you got two. Okay, then I will show you what it looks like if we draw some cubes or some buildings on the other side of our main street here. Because remember that you draw the side of the building closest to the vanishing point, so it is now going to move. So let's start out by drawing one close to us. We first draw a rectangle or square. You can do that. Now mine touches the bottom of my paper. I didn't even need to draw the bottom of it. Now, the side closest to the vanishing point. So from this point and this point, we are going to line up with the vanishing point. Line up with the vanishing point. And then for the roof, line up with the vanishing point. And then again, straight up and down, or straight, vertical line. Now if some of your lines aren't long enough, again, you just check and make them longer. Straight across line. Okay, so that's what they look like if they're on the other side of the vanishing point. So I'm going to draw one more up here so you can see it again. And you're welcome to follow along with me. We're going to draw a rectangle or square. And then it's this side, because it's closest to the vanishing point, line it up, line it up, line it up, and then straight up and down, and straight across. Because didn't quite meet, I fix that. And I get rid of the ones that weren't right. So linear perspective is a formula. A lot of times people in art, some people really love this because it is a clear-cut formula. It has rules about where the vanishing point is and how the lines line up, and it's really good for concrete thinkers who don't want this nebulous, what makes art good or not good. There's this formula to doing it. And if you follow the formula, you'll be you'll be accurate with it. So it really does appeal. I love it, it's fun. I used to, when I did a lot of designs for plays, you draw the set design in 1 or 2 point perspective. Architects use it a lot. Okay, so we've got these buildings. Now there's no doors or windows yet, but we will get to that. But let me show you what it looks like to draw a building that the top of the building goes above the horizon line, because you're going to get a little different effect. So I'm going to draw a building over here, and I'm going to have it be like a skyscraper thing over here. So it's pretty tall. So I start out by drawing a rectangle. Now again, my building's not see-through, so I don't see the mountains or the road through it. But notice how the top of the building, I'm going to make it a little taller so you really see this. This is a really tall skyscraper, especially since it's so far away. Notice how the top of the building is now above the vanishing point. This is eye level. This is where you are looking up towards that point. You can't see down here. So if you're a bird on the branch, this is a part of it. You couldn't see the roof on this building. So let me show you what happens. Same rules apply. Line up this edge, vanishing point. Draw a line. Line up this edge to the vanishing point. Draw a line. Now, technically one would line up this edge to the vanishing point. But as you can see, that line's behind the building. It wouldn't show. So you don't need it because you can't see the roof. So all you do now is draw a vertical line to end it. Get rid of the stuff you don't want to see through it. And that's what they look like. This is not a very good vertical line, though. And that's one thing, if you don't get those lines straight up and down, looks like your building's tipping or a trapezoid or something. So, you know, let's say I had a building here. Now, I can draw buildings behind buildings. Now, notice how these all have space between, but let's say I'm going to draw a building that's behind, partially behind and overlapping this one. And I'll have this be a tall building, too. So this building's going to come up here, going to come up here, it's going to be taller than the vanishing point. But, now you notice I didn't draw the bottom of the building. If it helps you any, I mean I could go, oh, building actually goes down to here and stops there. Now I'm going to have to erase those lines later, but they'll help me. Because I need to know where this corner is so I can line it up to the vanishing point. But after that, I don't need this anymore. So there is a fair amount of erasing. This corner goes to the vanishing point. Notice how extreme that angle is? This corner could, except it's behind the building, so we don't need it. And then I'm going to do a straight up and down line. Get rid of what I don't want. And that building sits slightly behind the other one. Now, other things people experiment with, things like, oh, you know, where's the sun? I mean, your sun could be rising up over here. This could be a sunrise over here. People really understand that. They go, yeah, I get it. Now, the only thing that's interesting about making your sun there, that means all your shadows are going to be down on the ground in front. Or it could just be a sky. You can draw all sorts of things. Like, let's say, I'll just show you what it would look like. If you drew a building completely above the horizon line, a cube, this is what it's going to look like. So let's do it the same way. And again, the same rules apply. This side's going to show closest to the horizon line, or closest to the vanishing point, sorry. And then vertical, horizontal. And really the only problem with that is I've now drawn a floating building. because it's not on the ground. So, and you'll find like sometimes people do lettering. I did some of that in this one drawing where I did some lettering. That was in perspective. And I'll briefly show you what you do with doors and windows, and then I have another video that will give you more information about things like how to draw street lamps and trees and people and monsters on the horizon, and things are on the horizon themselves. Like, let's say there's a little city out here, it'd be very small and not in perspective because it's right by the horizon, the vanishing point. So I have another video with more details, but let me just quick show you how to draw windows and doors. And if they're on the face of the building, that's just the normal rectangle. They are exactly what you think they would be. You can use your ruler. I'm not going to, but I could if I really want to check and be accurate. And I can just draw normal doors, normal windows. Where it gets tricky is when they're on, you have to look at the wall they're on. So if I wanted a window on this wall, the sides would be the same as the sides it's on, straight up and down. But the top and bottom of the window have to go to the vanishing point, just like the top and bottom of the wall. So here's where I need my ruler again. Top of the window, bottom of the window. Same with the door. The sides go straight up and down, just like the wall, and the top of the door has to go to the vanishing point. So go ahead. You can try out some doors and windows. It's the same thing over here. A door is going to be the same as the wall that it's on. Same with the window. But then any doors or windows on this, the sides are straight up. You just look at the wall it's on. The sides of the wall go straight up and down, so does the door. But the top and bottom goes to the vanishing point, so there's the top and bottom of any doors or windows that you're going to draw there. So these are your basics. And go ahead, take some time, get comfortable with it. If you want to try to get another piece of paper, that's fine. You can also, later on, I'll show you some other things you can do. And then there's also the possibility of doing some shading, some values, some lights and darks. Or you can take colored pencils and color these and have some fun with them. So that's basically 1-point linear perspective.